Lara Croft's Origins trilogy comes to a close with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where she's now hunting down the villainous organization known as Trinity, instead of piecing together their motives and escaping their grasp. Shadow doesn't stray too far from what you've come to expect from this new era of Tomb Raider though, beginning with the reboot in 2013 and the follow-up, Rise of the Tomb Raider. We spent about 4 hours with Shadow of the Tomb Raider at a preview event, and while we hope some minor flaws would be addressed this time around, the best parts of the series' formula still shone through. You can count on an action-adventure game about seeking ancient relics to bring you on a tour of exotic locations. The lush vegetation of Central and South America makes for some wonderful exploration through branching paths and optional side quests, and makes the process of discovery feel refreshing. The dense foliage affords some creative approaches in combat, like covering yourself up in mud to blend in, or using overgrown vegetation as cover. The tropical setting isn't solely tourist eye candy either. One of the game's early hub areas, a Peruvian village called Coahuacacu, showcases the rough nature of a small community holding itself together. And although the expansive hub Paititi wasn't playable in the demo, it's promising that Shadow of the Tomb Raider feels a lot more vibrant, with culture and society as a large part of its world building. Puzzles have been a highlight of Tomb Raider, and the clever solutions that accompany them let you flex your mental prowess. Although the rewards don't seem too gratifying, the process of unraveling the sequence of steps is the fun part. The fluidity and movement of combat is still intact too. Slipping into cover at the last second, or lining up an arrow for a kill just before getting spotted remains satisfying. However, if either aspect gives you too much trouble, the game allows you to tweak the difficulty of combat, puzzles, and exploration separately. Puzzle and exploration difficulty in particular affect the number of visual cues on screen, while combat difficulty affects enemy health and damage and resource availability. Unfortunately, enemy behavior still leaves a bit to be desired. They'll often walk into dubious situations that are easy to exploit, like a series of stealth kills off the ledge of a boardwalk.
Jesus!
Although we expect the action to ramp up, there just wasn't enough to chew on in the early stages. Patrol patterns and enemy placement didn't offer much of a challenge, with many guards conveniently having their backs turned to Lara. Close call moments have gotten pretty stale in action-adventure games. The cliche of escaping death at the very last second to keep up the intensity would be fine if it were saved for key moments. But when they become so frequent, especially as a narrative device, it gets predictable. Shadow is filled with these close calls, even in the opening hours, and its effectiveness in ratcheting up tension wears thin. Even during normal gameplay, Lara will occasionally slip while scaling walls or jumping to ledges in which a QTE button prompt is your savior. Thankfully, an early ability that costs 1 skill point negates this altogether.
Almost there.
Almost there. Heard that before.
We had previously seen the early chapter that takes place during Day of the Dead festivities in Cozumel, Mexico, which was part of the updated demo. After Lara swoops in on an ancient artifact that's set to cause a catastrophe, a flood consumes the entire village, leaving several dead and many more in a state of crisis. Although Lara's companion Jonah scolds her for not even considering the situation at hand, the consequences of her actions aren't really felt in that moment. In the context of a campaign where you're essentially racking up a body count, this may not seem like a big deal, but even a hardened Lara might want to reflect on a foreign town's destruction. However, it remains to be seen how she'll internalize these events, and if this will come back to haunt her as the story progresses.
Contact.
Those are a few of our thoughts after getting an extensive hands-on with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. If you've been a fan of the franchise's new direction this generation, you'll be happy to know that the formula remains strong, but with some lingering issues. You can experience it for yourself when Shadow of the Tomb Raider launches for PC, Xbox One, and PS4 on September 14th.
Unionization this and justice that. Wow, wow, wow.